You have been told your entire life that freedom means doing whatever you want. That lie has quietly destroyed millions of lives. Look carefully at the people who always chase what they feel like doing. They wake up whenever they want. They eat whatever satisfies them. They spend money whenever emotion tells them to. They speak every thought that enters their minds. They call it freedom. But watch them closely. They cannot control their anger. They cannot control their cravings. They reach for it. If someone insults them, they explode. If loneliness arrives, they beg for company. If discomfort appears, they run. That is not freedom. That is slavery wearing comfortable clothes. Marcus Aurelius understood something that modern people have forgotten. The greatest empire you will ever rule is not outside you, it is inside you. Your thoughts, your emotions, your impulses, your reactions. If those things control you, then it doesn't matter how much money you have, how respected you become, or how powerful you appear. You are still being led around like a prisoner. Most people never realize this because emotional slavery feels normal. When someone criticizes you and your entire day is ruined, you don't think you've been controlled. You think you've been offended. When someone ignores your message and anxiety begins growing inside you, you don't think you've become dependent. You think you simply care. When someone succeeds before you, jealousy quietly enters your mind. Instead of recognizing it as another chain, you call it ambition. Your prison is invisible. That's what makes it so dangerous. Every prison has bars. Yours are habits. The habit of comparison, the habit of seeking approval, the habit of complaining, the habit of procrastination, the habit of emotional reaction. Each one steals another piece of your freedom, until one day you wake up realizing you've lived someone else's expectations instead of your own purpose. Ask yourself something uncomfortable. Who is really making your decisions? You, or the habits you've repeated so many times they now feel like your personality? This question terrifies people because it forces them to admit something painful. They've confused familiarity with identity. Just because you've reacted with anger for years doesn't mean you're an angry person. It means you've practiced anger. Just because you've doubted yourself your entire life doesn't mean you lack confidence. It means you've rehearsed self-doubt until it became automatic. Every habit is practice. Every repetition strengthens a version of you. Every morning you delay the difficult task, you train hesitation. Every excuse you accept teaches weakness. Every uncomfortable conversation you avoid teaches fear. Without realizing it, you are educating your own mind. The question is, what exactly are you teaching it? Most people wait for life to become easier before becoming stronger. That day never comes. Life isn't designed to remove discomfort. It is designed to reveal who you are whenever discomfort arrives. This is why voluntary discomfort is one of the rarest habits in modern life. Think about it. People spend their entire existence trying to eliminate every inconvenience. The easiest chair, the quickest meal, the shortest route, the fastest entertainment, the least resistance. Then they wonder why they collapse the moment real adversity appears. Strength is never built inside comfort. Comfort preserves. Difficulty transforms. Every time you willingly choose the harder path, something invisible changes inside you. Not immediately, not dramatically, but permanently. Every difficult workout tells your mind that pain doesn't control you. Every morning you get out of bed before your excuses wake up, you weaken the voice that has manipulated you for years. Every time you remain calm while someone expects your anger, you prove your emotions no longer own you. That is how self-mastery is built. Quietly, repeatedly, without applause. And that is exactly why so few people achieve it. Because nobody celebrates the invisible victories. No one claps when you refuse to argue. No one gives awards because you controlled your temper. Nobody notices when you choose discipline over distraction, but your mind notices. Every single time. Your subconscious is always watching. It records every promise you keep. It records every promise you break. Eventually, it reaches a conclusion. This person cannot be trusted. Or, this person always follows through. That silent judgment becomes your confidence. Confidence is not created by affirmations. It is created by evidence. Your mind believes actions, not words. You can stand in front of a mirror every morning repeating that you're disciplined. But if you keep breaking promises to yourself, your subconscious already knows you're lying. It has receipts. It remembers every unfinished project, every abandoned goal, every excuse disguised as logic. This is why people lose belief in themselves, not because they aren't capable, because they've repeatedly shown themselves they cannot be trusted. Imagine living with someone who constantly lies to you. Eventually, you'd stop believing them. Now realize something disturbing. That person is you. Every time you say you'll start tomorrow, then don't. Every time you promise to exercise, then quit. Every time you swear you'll control your emotions, then explode again. You slowly destroy the relationship with the one person you can never escape. Yourself. No enemy can damage your confidence as much as repeated self-betrayal. And here's the terrifying part. Most people don't even notice they're doing it. They call it procrastination. But underneath procrastination is something much darker. Broken trust. This is why habit number 1 isn't waking up early. It isn't meditation. It isn't reading. Those are powerful, but they come later. The first habit of mastering yourself is becoming a person who keeps promises made in private. Not because anyone is watching, because you are. When nobody sees you, when nobody applauds you, when nobody expects anything, do you still become the person you said you would? That answer predicts your future more accurately than talent ever will. Because talent may open a door, character decides whether you remain inside. The world celebrates visible success. Stoicism celebrates invisible discipline, and those two paths rarely begin in the same place. Most people spend years trying to impress strangers. The Stoic spends years becoming someone they can respect in silence. One becomes famous, the other becomes free. And those are not the same thing. But there is another habit even more dangerous than breaking promises to yourself. It is the habit that quietly hands your emotional life to everyone around you without you realizing it. Most people practice it every single day. Very few ever escape it. And once you see it, you'll never look at your relationships the same way again. The second habit that separates ordinary people from those who master themselves is almost invisible. It doesn't look impressive. It isn't loud. It doesn't attract attention. In fact, most people mistake it for weakness. Silence. Not the silence of having nothing to say. The silence of having nothing to prove. There is a profound difference. Watch what happens when someone challenges your opinion. Before you even realize it, your mind begins preparing a defense. You search for the perfect argument. You imagine how to win. You don't notice it, but your peace has already been stolen. The conversation may last 5 minutes. The emotional disturbance can last 5 hours. The Stoic asks a different question. Why do I feel the need to convince someone who has already chosen not to understand? That single question exposes a hidden addiction. The addiction to being right. Most people don't argue because truth is important. They argue because their identity feels threatened. When someone disagrees with them, it feels personal. So they defend their ego while calling it intelligence. This habit quietly drains your life. It steals your energy. It steals your focus. It steals your emotional balance. And the worst part is that it almost never changes the other person's mind. Think about the last argument that consumed you. Did it improve your character, or did it simply leave you exhausted? The strongest people understand something the world rarely teaches. Every battle has a cost. Not every battle deserves your peace. That realization changes everything. You stop reacting to every opinion. You stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You stop chasing the impossible task of controlling how others perceive you, because you finally understand a brutal truth. Reputation lives in other people's minds. Character lives in yours. You only control one of them. So why sacrifice your character trying to control your reputation? This is why emotionally mature people appear mysterious. They are not hiding. They are choosing which conversations deserve their energy, choosing which opinions deserve their attention, choosing which emotions deserve expression. Silence is not emptiness. It is disciplined restraint. The person who must respond to everything is easily controlled. The person who chooses when to respond cannot easily be manipulated. Imagine someone insults you in public. Most people immediately feel heat rising through their body. Their heartbeat accelerates. Their mind begins producing revenge. They believe they have no choice, but they do. There is always a space between what happens and how you respond. That space is where self-mastery lives. Unfortunately, most people have allowed that space to disappear. Stimulus, reaction. Stimulus, reaction. Their lives have become automatic. They aren't responding anymore. They're merely programmed. Every insult receives anger. Every disappointment receives complaint. Every obstacle receives excuses. The pattern repeats until it becomes identity. Then they wonder why life never changes. Life doesn't change because they don't. The Stoic interrupts the pattern. He pauses, not because he is weak, because he refuses to let another person's behavior dictate his own. That pause is more powerful than any clever comeback, because in that pause, you prove something to yourself. My emotions answer to me, not to strangers, not to circumstances, not to praise, not to criticism, to me. That sentence sounds simple. Living it is rare. Here's another uncomfortable truth. Many people secretly depend on drama because peace feels unfamiliar. If everything becomes quiet, they create conflict. If relationships become stable, they search for problems. If life becomes calm, they manufacture chaos. Why? Because their nervous system has been trained to mistake emotional intensity for meaning. Calm feels boring. Chaos feels alive. Until one day they realize they've spent years fighting battles that never needed to exist. Mastering yourself requires breaking that addiction. Not every emotion deserves expression. Not every thought deserves belief. Not every impulse deserves action. That is maturity. The modern world tells you to express everything you feel. Stoic wisdom asks a more difficult question. Should every feeling be obeyed? Anger feels real. Fear feels real. Envy feels real. But reality and usefulness are not the same. An emotion can be genuine while still giving terrible advice. Fear says, don't try. Jealousy says, compare yourself. Pride says, never apologize. Comfort says, start tomorrow. If you obey every emotion, your life becomes a prison built by temporary feelings. This leads to another mindset shift. Your feelings are visitors. They are not leaders. Invite them in. Listen to what they have to say, but never hand them the keys to your life. This is emotional sovereignty. Few people possess it, because few people practice it. Every day offers countless opportunities. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Someone forgets to thank you. Someone overlooks your effort. Someone criticizes your work. Each moment asks the same question. Who is in charge? Your emotion or your principles? If your answer changes with every situation, you haven't mastered yourself. You've merely mastered reacting. There is another habit the strongest people quietly develop. They stop negotiating with discomfort. Most people negotiate everything. I'll exercise later. I'll focus after one more video. I'll start next Monday. I'll become disciplined when life settles down. Life hears these negotiations and responds with silence. Because tomorrow is the favorite hiding place of wasted potential, the future has become a cemetery where countless dreams were buried before they were ever lived. Not because people lacked ability, because they postponed becoming the person capable of achieving them. Discipline ends the negotiation. It replaces, "Do I feel like it?" with, "I said I would." That sentence changes lives, not instantly, repeatedly. Every time you honor your word despite your mood, you strengthen your identity. Eventually, discipline no longer feels forced. It becomes who you are. And when identity changes, behavior follows naturally. This is why habits matter more than motivation. Motivation creates excitement. Habits create destiny. The world is full of motivated people. It is starving for disciplined ones. But there is one habit that silently destroys even disciplined people if they fail to recognize it. It disguises itself as kindness. It disguises itself as loyalty. It disguises itself as love. In reality, it is emotional dependence. And until you break that habit, your freedom will always belong to someone else. Emotional dependence rarely announces itself. It doesn't walk into your life wearing chains. It arrives wearing a smile. It whispers that you need one more compliment before you can believe in yourself, one more relationship before you can feel complete, one more achievement before you can finally rest. And without realizing it, you begin handing pieces of your identity to people who were never meant to carry it. This is how freedom disappears. Not all at once. One habit at a time. You begin checking your phone every few minutes, hoping someone has replied. Your mood rises when you're praised and falls when you're ignored. A stranger's opinion suddenly carries more weight than your own conscience. You think you're connected. In reality, you're becoming controlled. The Stoics understood that the greatest prison is not built from stone, it is built from dependence. The more your happiness depends on things outside your control, the less control you have over your own life. Read that again in your mind. The more your happiness depends on things outside your control, the less control you have over yourself. That realization is uncomfortable because it forces you to ask a question you've probably avoided for years. What owns me? Is it money, status, attention, approval, comfort, a relationship, success? Every person has an answer. Most never discover it until life takes it away. Imagine waking up tomorrow with your title gone, your income reduced, your social media erased, your reputation questioned. Would you still know who you are? Or have you spent so many years attaching your identity to temporary things that you've forgotten the person underneath? This is why Stoicism places such importance on inner character. Everything outside you can change overnight. Your principles cannot be stolen unless you surrender them. That is real wealth. The world celebrates people who accumulate possessions. The Stoic admires the person who cannot be possessed by them. There is a profound difference. One owns many things. The other cannot be owned by anything. Which person is truly free? Look at history. Empires have fallen. Fortunes have vanished. Fame has faded. Power has shifted. Yet the individuals remembered for centuries were not always the richest or the strongest. They were the ones whose character remained steady when everything else collapsed. That is the kind of strength habits create. Not dramatic strength, reliable strength. The kind that remains when life becomes unfair. Because life will become unfair. It will disappoint you. People you trust will leave. Plans you've spent years building may fail. Doors will close without explanation. You cannot control any of that. But you can control the habits you bring into every storm. That is why resilient people recover faster than everyone else. Not because they suffer less, because they have trained themselves differently. When failure arrives, they don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" They ask, "What is this teaching me?" That single question transforms pain into instruction. Most people experience hardship and become bitter. The Stoic experiences hardship and becomes wiser. The event may be identical. The interpretation changes everything. This is another mindset shift that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Events do not define your life. Your interpretation of those events does. Two people lose the same opportunity. One sees proof that life is against them. The other sees an invitation to become stronger. Who suffers more? Not the one with the greater problem, the one with the weaker perception. Perception is a habit, just like gratitude, just like patience, just like discipline. Every day you are strengthening one way of seeing the world. You are either training your mind to search for excuses or training it to search for opportunities. Eventually, it becomes automatic. The person who always finds excuses believes life is unfair. The person who always looks for responsibility becomes dangerous, because responsibility gives you power. Excuses give you relief, but never growth. Think about that. Every excuse feels good for a moment. It wasn't my fault. I didn't have enough time. They held me back. I'll start when things improve. Those sentences protect your ego. They also imprison your future. Responsibility is heavier. It forces you to admit painful truths. Maybe you wasted more time than you realized. Maybe your habits, not your circumstances, have been holding you back. Maybe the life you want requires becoming someone different before achieving something different. That realization hurts. But pain that reveals the truth is far more valuable than comfort that hides it. This is why self-mastery begins where self-deception ends. The day you stop lying to yourself is the day your transformation truly begins. No more pretending you'll change someday. No more blaming your past for choices you continue to repeat. No more waiting for perfect conditions, because perfect conditions never arrive. Only decisions do. Every sunrise asks you the same question. Will today look like yesterday? Or will today become the day you finally interrupt the pattern? Most people underestimate the power of one decision repeated daily. A single page read every morning becomes knowledge. A single workout repeated becomes strength. A single moment of emotional restraint becomes wisdom. A single promise kept becomes confidence. Your life is not changed by one extraordinary act. It is quietly shaped by ordinary acts repeated with extraordinary consistency. That is why habits are so powerful. They ask very little from you today. Then they ask the same thing tomorrow, and the day after that, until one day you wake up and realize you have become someone your past self would hardly recognize. Not through luck, not through motivation, through repetition. That is the secret almost everyone overlooks. They chase transformation while ignoring repetition. But repetition is transformation. Every habit is a vote. Every choice is a brick. Every day you are constructing the person you will become. The only question is whether you're building a prison or building a mind that no circumstance can ever conquer. And the final habit, the one that ties every lesson together, is the habit that determines whether you remain a prisoner of your past or become the author of your future. The final habit is the one that every other habit depends on. Without it, discipline fades. Silence becomes temporary. Emotional control collapses under pressure. Responsibility slowly turns back into blame. This habit is relentless self-examination. Most people spend their lives studying everyone except themselves. They know why their co-workers fail. They know why politicians disappoint them. They know why their friends make poor decisions. But ask them why they repeat the same destructive pattern year after year, and the room becomes quiet. That silence is revealing. The ancient Stoics believed that a person who refuses to examine their own mind remains a stranger to themselves. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly used his private journal not to impress others, but to confront his own thinking, question his impulses, and strengthen his character. It was a daily practice of honest reflection rather than self-condemnation. Marcus Aurelius, imagine ending each day with one simple question. What kind of person did my habits create today? Not what did you achieve? Not how much money did you make? Not how many people admired you? Who did your repeated actions make you become? That question changes your priorities, because success without character is fragile. Character without recognition is still strength. Most people fear failure. Few fear becoming someone they no longer respect. Yet that is the greater danger. You do not lose yourself in one dramatic moment. You lose yourself through small compromises. One excuse, one lie, one broken promise, one emotional reaction, one decision to ignore your conscience. Repeated often enough, these become your identity. But the opposite is also true. One act of courage, one disciplined morning, one calm response instead of anger, one honest admission of responsibility, one difficult choice made for the right reason. Repeated often enough, these also become your identity. This is why your daily habits deserve your greatest attention. They are quietly writing your future long before the future arrives. There will be mornings when discipline feels heavy. There will be nights when doubt whispers that nothing is changing. There will be seasons when your progress is invisible. Do not mistake invisibility for failure. A tree grows underground before anyone sees its height. Character grows in silence before the world notices its strength. The strongest people are often underestimated because their greatest victories happen where no audience exists. They wake before comfort calls. They keep promises that nobody else hears. They remain calm when anger would be easier. They choose integrity when deception would be more profitable. They continue when quitting would be more convenient. Those moments rarely become headlines, but they become destiny. The Stoics understood that peace is not found by controlling the world. It is found by governing yourself. As Epictetus taught, suffering often begins when we cling to what is outside our control, instead of directing our effort toward our own judgments and actions. That distinction remains one of the foundations of Stoic practice. Likewise, Seneca emphasized that character is strengthened through adversity rather than comfort. Difficulty is not merely an obstacle, it is often the training ground where wisdom is formed. Look at your life honestly, not with shame, not with excuses, with clarity. The person you become next year is already taking shape in the habits you repeat today. If you master your habits, you master your reactions. If you master your reactions, you master your decisions. If you master your decisions, you master your character. And if you master your character, very little in this world can truly defeat you. The world may still reject you. People may misunderstand you. Plans may fail. Loss will still visit. Pain will still arrive. But none of those things will own you, because your identity will no longer depend on circumstances. It will depend on principles. That is the freedom the Stoics pursued. Not a life without hardship, a mind that remains steady within it. So, before you leave, ask yourself one final question. When life tests you tomorrow, and it will your habits pull you back into the person you've always been? Or will they reveal the person you've been quietly becoming? The answer begins with the next choice you make. Not next week, not next month, right now. You will not become the person you dream about by waiting for the perfect moment. You become that person every time you choose discipline over comfort, silence over reaction, responsibility over excuses, and purpose over pleasure. One decision won't transform your life, but thousands of disciplined decisions will. Years from now, people will call your strength natural. They will never see the mornings you wanted to quit. They will never see the battles you fought inside your own mind. They will never see the habits that quietly built an unbreakable character. And that's the point. The greatest victories are invisible, long before they become undeniable. When life tries to shake you, your habits will answer. When temptation whispers, your habits will answer. When fear tells you to retreat, your habits will answer. So ask yourself one last question. Are your habits building a prison or an unbreakable mind? Because every sunrise gives you another vote for the person you're becoming. Choose wisely. Choose deliberately. Choose the version of yourself your future will thank you for. And never forget this. You don't master life by controlling the world. You master life by mastering yourself. If this video challenged the way you think and helped you see yourself more clearly, consider subscribing and join this community of people committed to building an unbreakable mind through Stoic wisdom. Your support helps us create more videos like this. If you're making that commitment today, type, "My mind belongs to me," in the comments. Now, 10. I read them. And that simple sentence is a declaration that you're choosing discipline over distraction and freedom over emotional slavery. If this message resonated with you, leave a like and share it with someone who needs to hear these truths. Now don't stop here. The next video on your screen will show you the next step in mastering your mind and strengthening your character. Click it now and continue your journey toward becoming the person nothing can control.